All right. What's going on, everybody? This is the very first episode of the Collecting and Connecting podcast. I'm here with King Brett, myself, 3Ball34, and Treaticus will be here shortly. But we have a fantastic guest today. Really excited. We have several OGs, Top Shot OGs in the Collecting and Connecting group, but this guy, I'm super excited that he's here. Welcome, everybody, Dream Shaker. What's up, buddy?
Appreciate it, man.
What's up?
We all know him and recognize him.
So I'm happy.
I'm sorry. I'm jumping all over you. Excited.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just excited that you guys pronounce it correctly because, you know, the R, as they say, is usually, it's not silent, but people tend to not pronounce it. But gotta get that out there first. It's a good thing that you guys got that on point. So typical connecting and collecting. You guys always do your homework. So you know what you know.
There you go. That underscore is in there. But yeah, Dream Shaker, my man. Big time collector in NLL, Nine Lives Lounge, several other groups, but you've created your own community and made a name for yourself. Boards2Buckets. If anybody is in Top Shot community and they've looked at any streams, anything on Twitter, they have to see B2B all over the place. Brett, I know you've seen his stuff and we've watched his streams together. Tell us, you've seen him a couple times?
Dude, I love your face, man. Every time I see it, it just makes me smile. Of course, most times it's in playback. I feel like you're the one guy that I can always count on. Boards2Buckets, no matter what's going on, as soon as the girl gives me like 30 minutes to myself, I know I can jump in, and there's always great conversation. I feel like you also have to give away more moments than almost anyone, too. Like, it's insane. You and the Top Shot community, we have so much to talk about. I'm so excited to find out like who Dream Shaker or Hard R is and just how this journey started, dude. I'm pumped.
Tell us a little bit how it did start. How did you get into Top Shot, Dream Shaker?
Yeah, so as you guys, know, and other people, I guess, I've loved basketball ever since I was, I don't know, basically I could remember when the first basketball memory I have is squeaky shoes on the floor. So that's how I identified basketball at the beginning, was my dad telling me about Magic Johnson. And at the time he had just sort of come back from, his debilitating illness of AIDS and sort of the whole comeback story there. So that was sort of my initial just experience with, Magic. And so yeah, I've been plugged into so many different basketball communities, whether it's NBA 2K, whether it's fantasy basketball. I've been pretty exposed all the way around. So when something new comes up through the NBA, I usually kind of catch wind of it through several different podcasts or whatever the case is. So for me, it happened to be No Dunks happened to be talking about it. And it's good to see them still plugged in with the community, very engaged. And they're also on playback too. So we seem to find some kind of, synergy here, I guess, together from one way or the other. And so, yeah, that's where I sort of heard about it at first, this Top Shot thing. Tyrese Halliburton was talking about it. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to take some time over here and I'm going to check it out, because when I sort of get into any NBA sort of community, I really have to see what the sort of value is there for me as a basketball fan. So how close is a link up to the basketball? And that's sort of going to generate whether I'm going to be interested in it or not. So yeah, they exposed it to me first. And so I not only listened to them talking about it, but I took a full month on the platform, looking at these moments skyrocketing, going up, going down. And I'm just like, whoa, what is all this? And holy crap, TJ McConnell? How's the TJ McConnell cost more than wait, what? And so I was on there for basically this whole time, just sort of figuring out from like the outset what this was. I got exposed to the Board Ape Yacht Club community. Little known fact, they actually follow me on Twitter. So there's a lot of things from that beginning of time, that February experience. I was actually a March adopter, even though I was technically in there in February. But yeah, it was shout out to the No Dunks crew and Tyrese Halliburton for really just bringing it to my actual eyes. And that's how I got in.
Very cool. Yeah, you mentioned several things about the NBA culture and the community and how they kind of things work their way out to the community, so you can find out about different stuff. You mentioned several things in there that I want to double click on, but like video games, 2K. Tell me about that. What experience do you have there? I'm sure with your what we see on the Top Shot, you were definitely probably organizing things there and doing stuff. What'd you do?
Yeah, so 2K is a really interesting experience because, you had two things at the beginning of, I guess, the PS2 sort of Xbox, sort of situation, or PS1 actually, way back when 2K came out. So I'm an original
Throwback.
2K. Yeah, 2K, the original 2K, that's me. From 2K all the way up until now, every game I'm plugged in. And sort of back then, there were just forums for people to go and talk about things with. It was just really me playing against the computer. My GM mode. I know you guys did an episode with Jacob, which I listened to, which was fantastic. He was a big My GM guy, and that's sort of his trajectory into basketball as well. So my game mode was exhibition, 1v1. Then online gaming comes out around, sort of the 2010s, and I start playing really hardcore. But there was no really definable. Yeah, there's no definable reason. There's no definable reason why I would do that so often, other than just like the love of playing. But once they created my career mode, that's really where I became a hardcore 2K gamer. Because if you want to talk about the ethos of the metaverse, it really starts with the fact that these players that we create that are our actual avatars, whether you want to make it look like yourself or not, I actually cannot create myself in the game because it's really hard for me to sort of figure out how to make myself. So I pick out a player every game. So last year was Klay Thompson.
Can't be duplicated, Dream. Can't be duplicated.
Yeah, 1 of 1, baby.
Well, they actually haven't. So this is the funny thing about 2K, and I can get into this all day, but 2K hasn't actually changed the same distribution of haircuts. Oh my! My camera's now going in and out.
Yeah, just boom.
Camera.
I thought you meant to do that. I was like, that's badass.
Yeah, I need to give you some of my facial hair.
You guys are listening to this on the podcast format, but Dream just zoomed in on his face when he was making that point, and it was awesome.
I gotta be really careful with my hand gestures. But yeah, so they've kept basically the same haircuts and the same beards and the same sort of stuff. So it hasn't augmented over time the same way that FIFA has. So I'll keep myself there, but I basically pick a player every year that I want to emulate. And so last year was Klay Thompson coming back from the ACL. This year, who did I pick? LaMelo at the beginning of the season. Then he gets injured, so I switch it to SGA. And so through my career, the cool thing about it is me and my friends, we got about 10 of us, right? We've been playing together since 2016, I'm sorry. And basically, we just wanted to go hoop online, 5 of us, 5v5. And that's kind of the coolest thing about the way that 2K sort of pumped out this game mode is that my friends and I, we live in different states now. I can't just go and call them up to go and play basketball anymore. And so when I went to law school, that's really where I decided to sort of figure out, okay, how do I keep our friends together, hooping still, but maybe in this quote unquote metaverse? And so, we all link up in the neighborhood. We all go and hang out. We have we even have like dances. We made jerseys for ourselves, became a whole thing. And so through that identity of the team, we actually then created our own a league on Discord. So that's my first Discord experience too, is back in 2016 when I created my first Discord.
Wow.
And at the time, it ended up blowing up to like one of the biggest pro-am communities out there. And I built it through Reddit. So on Reddit, I was like, hey, are you guys are there other groups of friends out there? Like imagine a Collectin and Connectin team that you guys are all hooping online. Who else out there plays on Xbox and wants to go against us? We put each other in leagues and we ran them time and time again. We put money inside and we sort of had this really cool thing for about 3-4 years, and it was awesome. So
that reminds me and King Brad are in, we've talked about it in a previous episode. We're in a fantasy football league together. That is a dynasty league keeper. We've been together with our high school buddies for, 15 years, something. It's ridiculous. But you said a couple things in there that made me think he's thought about, we just have our group of 12, people, but why aren't we reaching out on Twitter and expanding to, let's talk to all these other leagues that these guys are doing the same thing, guys and girls, and then we could, meet each other in communities and maybe play against each other, do different crossover events. So that similar thinking in the 2K world. But you mentioned several buzzwords, and things that I was thinking about with your buddies that you guys were customizing, in career mode and my GM. You're giving yourself ownership and customization to be able to make it what you want. But there's also a community factor where you're getting to hang with your buddies who live across the country or across the world, which speaks to why we're having so much fun with Top Shot right now and Collectin and Connectin.
Exactly.
We're connecting with people that are all over Europe, Africa, North America, South America. People are all over the world, and we're just talking every day, hanging out. What moments you buying? Such a cool thing, man.
Exactly.
Dude, I heard a couple of buzzwords, and I don't know that they necessarily go in the same sentence together. You have to be the smartest guy ever. You use the word, when I went to law school, first of all, mic drop. All right. Then you said, I had to figure out a way to stay connected with my 5 or 6 buddies and still play together. So playing video games while at law school, what? That's
equals
so
badass.
Awesome. It's you're slam dunk and you're also turning pages. That's so awesome. That's crazy, dude.
And that's what basketball is what gets me through all my stages in life. So, whether I was a little kid wanting to emulate and be Michael Jordan, happy to be a Chicago Bulls captain. And, there's a whole story, I guess, behind that whole thing. But yeah, man, I've always found my escape. Even I'm remembering. So, the Denver Nuggets just won the, championship. And what a lot of people don't know is that I've been to every single Denver Nuggets versus Chicago Bulls game besides this season because I had a conflict.
Wow.
So all these years, ever since Jokic basically popped off, and that's what I would do. I would I'd get out of my law classes late at night. I'd go outside the UC because I actually lived across from the United Center, and so I used to anyway. And my buddies still live there, so I still always have my pregame and across the street place to go whenever I kick it in the Bulls games.
Solid hookup.
Yeah, that's it. And so I would go outside there, and that's, back then, you had your scalpers on the street. So I just go in and be like, hey, what can $10 get me? $20 get me inside the stadium. And I mean, we're talking, Clippers, Chris Paul, CP3, we're talking about, that season in particular was Jimmy Butler, Rondo, and D Wade, which made no sense. But there was some art in the story that the same year that I went to Chicago was the same year that Wade went to Chicago. Sort of like the same year that Tebow went to New York was the same year that I went to New York when I was there, working out of undergrad. And so somehow, in some way, sports has always brought me in this sort of place of peace when I'm away from sort of everything, and basketball in particular. It's been my sanctuary. So, and I go to these games by myself. I have no problem going to a movie by myself, a game by myself. Sort of, if you guys heard me on stream ever and how animated I am, it's all up here usually. So I have fun with it.
He's secure. I like it. It's like going to a movie or going to a restaurant by yourself. It's actually kind of awesome.
I love it.
I couldn't. Mm-hmm. I was just saying, I couldn't imagine going to a game and like accidentally sitting next to you and just being like, "Who is this guy? This is it." Like, it would be so much fun to be the random person. You just go to a game solo. I bet you meet some really cool people that way too, though, right?
Yeah, so actually I was talking about this on stream the other day. So when I sit at a game either, I'm not just sitting there just twiddling my thumbs or, doing whatever. I get pretty animated in the game. So even, just two different stories just real quick. One is Jamal Murray, right? So I got to give credits to Jamal Murray and his ascendance, not just back from injury, right? ACL injury. He called himself damaged goods. That's what he had in his head. Injuries aren't just physical, they're very mental. So Jamal Murray comes back. And the thing is I've always had a deep criticism of Jamal Murray because, of course, I'm somewhat archaic in the way that I view positions. So the way that I view positions sometimes as a point guard needs to be sort of your best passer. Your center can be obviously one of your best passers, but when your center's like your go-to like passer, then I kind of think, wait, why are we calling you a point guard, right? And so at the end of the day, I was at this Bulls game and I was literally sitting behind the bench, with Jamal Murray, and I started a chant over there. Not a point guard. Not a point guard. So that's just the way I am. And so, I started that over there. And so I started meeting other people. They were getting animated. They were getting into it. He ended up not having a good game. But again, my criticisms come also with.
He got in his head, Dream.
He averaged 10 assists this playoffs. He became a complete player post-injury. And come on, I got to give him his dub there. Absolutely incredible story. And that's why I'm just sort of tying it back to, that live game experience. There's nothing like it. And so I'm sure you guys have had the live experience through NBATopShot. Giving that gift to people, it's just something beyond money. It's something that goes ingrained in sort of the basketball culture that I loved my whole life. So that was one story.
You're talking going to games, you're talking in real life events, and you're talking Denver Nuggets, who just won the NBA championship. You were fortunate enough, obviously, we could talk about it, but you went to a game in the finals in Miami, right? Tell us about it.
Yep. Yeah, so I was in Game 4 of the NBA Finals. Shout out to the Pac Riley Mafia. They just had a little bit of a do-over, and so I got several guys who are friends that are within the community, and so that's been awesome, is being able to really work with them foundationally. Even if I'm not a Top Shot team captain for the Miami Heat, they still really bring me into the fold to sort of, do things. Now, that's not why I won the giveaway, mind you. I was in a random draw like everyone else, and we did have to give, $100 moment for it, but it's just immaterial being able to go to a game. And for me, this is home. I'm here at my parents' house. You probably saw my dad walk through a second ago. And it's
hey, Dad.
it's a way for
hey, Dad.
It's a way for me to be able to, just every time I'm almost been home now, it's been centered around these in real life experiences, doing something for Chop Shot, going to Heat games, even if it's on my own dime. Everything is usually centered around basketball in some way. And I still come during the offseason, don't get me wrong, but the push from Top Shot really puts me in there. And I will say one thing. So the one story that I have right now with the Miami Heat, in the same way that I don't just go to a game by myself, and I was thankful to sit with like a lot of Top Shotters, they must have thought I was just crazy because listen, there were people in that stadium yelling, "Let's go Denver, dun, 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 dun. Let's go Denver." In our house, and I'll tell you this, I mean, there's one misnomer about the Miami Heat, and it's that we have these plastic fans, these fake fans, we show up late, all this stuff. I can get in all day about how that's not actually the case. During a playoff game, though, during this playoff game, and I've seen this material change now with these specific people that went to this game for, which is the high marquee game, best of the best. For me to even get a seat in the house through Top Shot was amazing, but not in our house. So I got up and I was like, "What are you guys doing? This could be our last playoff game, and you're all going to sit over here and let them do this in our house? Let's go Heat." Every time
Nice,
there were the two of them yelling, I was getting up and I was just fired up and just yelling. And it was just so sad because I'm just one person in that place thinking that way. And so in the end, I'm just one person that can't overpower an entire stadium full of people. And at the end of the day, they deserve the win. They got the win. It was tough to see. And so I hope in a lot of ways that Heat culture that we sort of see within the team itself finds its way to the audience when it's peak demand, because that's where the issue is. When it's peak demand, you get those plastic fans. When it's not peak demand, you guys know this probably from your respective sport teams. It's it's a different crowd. That's the real people that are in that stadium. So the Miami Heat have a challenge in the future to make sure that they get more asses in the seat that actually care about the team. And so it was horrible that way that we couldn't support our team in that stadium. And I was there live. Everything, all the silence you heard on TV, that was legit. It was a quiet place, defeated place. That's not how you go. That's not what Jimmy Butler represents, and the rest of the team. So I was upset at that.
I think the culture was there most of the playoffs. I think they were pretty beat down by that point. And to your point, you don't go out like that. But me and King Brett are both Mavericks fans, and we both witnessed on TV at least 2006, 2011, and we've seen lots of interactions with Miami. They were again in the finals of 2020, which we didn't get to see the fans since that was in the bubble. But having visited Miami, I actually called Brett. Brett's one of my most traveled friends. So if I'm going to a new place that I haven't been, then I call him or text him and ask him a few questions. And so I had already talked to him a little bit, and I was in Miami day 2, and I texted him and said, "Hey man, all these coffee places say that they open at 7 a.m. and I'm here at 7:10 and the lights are out, I'm knocking and whatnot." And he says, "It's just a slower pace of life. Everybody's they're going to get there. They'll start making it." And sure enough, about 15 minutes after, everybody's in, what's up? So I think at the start of these games, people are getting their drinks, getting set up, getting in from work and whatnot. And they are loud and proud usually once that game gets going. Just takes a little bit to get in their seats, in my opinion. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so funny enough with the Dallas Mavericks. So you guys don't actually know this, but I grew up basically so when Michael Jordan retires, my teams were the Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls. So those were my two teams growing up as a child. I was huge into Michael Jordan. Of course, he came number 1, and then Michael Jordan and the Bulls came number 2. But I always dreamed of moving to Chicago and being in Chicago to be around, the replica statue that comes up years later. But my team after he goes and leaves the NBA was the Dallas Mavericks. It was Dirk Nowitzki. That was my guy, Steve Nash.
Yes,
that was my team. So actually, it's really funny that you guys sort of mentioned, this rivalry, because people would ask me before the finals happened twice, what would happen if the Dallas Mavericks and Miami Heat went to the finals. And I would say the astronomical impossibility of that happening, I'll never have to worry about it. It's like asking me, I'm Peruvian and I'm also American, born in Peru, raised here. It's like saying Peru versus America. When do we face each other? Never. I think it's happened twice in our life. So I never usually have that conflict. And so when the Dallas Mavericks won against the Miami Heat, my heart was certainly torn into 2 parts, in the same kind of way that, Denver is not going to take up that much of my fandom, because although I love Jokic, I'm still a Heat lifer and it's just my team. So I want to see the Heat win. But I was okay with the Denver Nuggets winning, just like I was okay with Alonzo Mourning and D Wade, getting his championship as, the centerpiece of that series. And, Alonzo Mourning coming back from, playing on one kidney basically, and seeing him both before that happened when he was a peak athlete to after. And then when Dirk got his after, beating the team that we assembled together to be one of the greatest of all time, and we just floundered. Watch JJ Barea, LeBron James, torch him. I was there when 5'8" JJ Barea was just running around the entire team.
Yeah.
I was happy for the Dallas Mavericks back then. So yeah, I've had a couple different waves of fandom. Now covering with Boards2Buckets, all 30 NBA teams. I can't play too impartial, even though people know I'm a huge Heat fan. I had to stick it out during the actual stream itself after the fact. I didn't just shut it off because I can't do that to my audience. I can't be just when my team wins. So yeah, it was tough. And during those times, at least during the Dallas Mavericks, I think the audience or the fans getting there sometimes late. It could be due to the drinks. The traffic is a reality. And the thing about South Florida that you have to know is that I'm actually from about 45 minutes to an hour, 30 minutes with no traffic, 20 minutes with no traffic, but usually about an hour to get from here to Miami. It's so much worse now than it used to be. But even back then, it was tough. So you're talking about a game that starts at 7 o'clock, 7:30. They've been better now. They actually do these at 8 o'clock, 8:30. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be a little earlier. And so you're talking about people having to leave work at 5 o'clock from West Palm Beach up north, which could be an hour. You can have people from my area it's tough. To get over there on time, logistically speaking. That's
probably similar to what LA kind of goes through with that type of traffic.
Yeah, exactly.
To get over there.
Dude, y'all just covered my exact experience. I flew with a buddy 2-game, whatever it was, 5-6 in Miami to watch the Dallas close out the Heat, and the Heat just put it to us. And the fans were insane. And I was there early for the game, and we were still late. There were so many people getting through security. Like my experience with the Heat fans, y'all are no joke for sure. Y'all represent. That was a horrible game for me to go to, but I did like getting redemption later on in life when we got our title. But that was a rough one to watch.
Hey, you know what? It created Dirk's legacy. He deserves to be one of the best international players of all time. I think, in my opinion, Jokic is up there, I think, but Dirk is still up. I don't know where the apex is, but I have all the more respect for Dirk. He's still one of my favorite players of all time. But I will say one actual logistical reality with going to games now versus back then, and this happened to me in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I was at the game 30 minutes early. I had my digital ticket, and that thing would not load up on the thing. And they had one person there to go and basically troubleshoot for like 100 people. So I bulldozed my way to the front of the line with my dad, and I said, "We're getting this." And then that's how I got in the game on time. But not everybody's going to go and do that kind of thing. So yeah, these are logistical realities that I think not just the Heat face, but everybody faces. It's just that, we happen to be Miami. And so, there's a little bit of stuff that comes with it. It must be the drinks. Everybody drinks.
For sure.
But yeah.
Oh, dude.
So talking about Heat a little bit there, you mentioned some Bulls fandom. Excuse me. Back with I think everybody was a Bulls fan during the Michael Jordan days, unless he was just beating your team over and over. I think he kind of had to respect the greatest. But you're now a Chicago Bulls captain in Top Shot. Tell us about that.
Yep. I mean, it's been awesome. So one of the people I'll give a big shout outs to is Ballers Blockchain Steve. So as time has gone on and his role sort of went from just pure content to community based, him and I have gotten closer in that respect. I guess he saw what I've been doing with Boards2Buckets, and he sort of has always been finding ways to not only help, I guess, myself, but help out our brand in the sense that just, giving us some kind of exposure. I mean, you guys saw the sort of change with the social media regime, right? Where like they played the whole ratio game. Let's not follow anyone. And then Patrick Ewing gets on, and then suddenly people who are diehards of Top Shotters are then being followed. That has a certain psychological element behind it that makes you feel appreciated as a fan. And that sort of fights the element that we sort of have sometimes when Top Shot isn't giving us enough utility. And so those are the little things that they were doing over time with me. And Ballers Blockchain Steve basically goes and reaches out to me. I didn't even know there was a Chicago Bulls captaincy, but it wasn't just him who recommended me. It was several people in the community who have met me at Chicago Bulls events and sort of know what I'm about, what B2B are about, and sort of wanted me to emulate some sort of model with it. And I'm not going to copy what Boards2Buckets does. I'm going to have the community sort of tell me, what do you guys want to see? But me knowing sort of, how basketball is an international sport. So you can't just do live giveaways because not everybody can make it. And not just people from different time zones, but people who don't work 9-to-5 jobs, who work, nighttime jobs, like my right-hand man and the sixth man from Boards2Buckets. I know about that because I deal with that with him. People who have parental duties. You mentioned before, King Brett, how your wife sometimes will only get you 30 minutes of time. I know exactly what that's like. So yeah, and that's a tough thing. Shout out to my wife for going and allowing me to be able to do what I do with Boards2Buckets. But
we should all take a moment to thank our significant others for letting us spend so much time with our buddies. Nice.
Seriously.
That's-
Seriously. But yeah, so being a Chicago Bulls captain is really just it's been a crazy journey to get to this point in particular. But as time has gone on and I've gotten more closer to Top Shot, just in the more, I guess, operational sense, that's allowed me to further embolden why you should be a top shotter to everybody who I get to talk about on a daily basis. Because what I do isn't necessarily unique. I just care about this thing a lot to go create something for myself. And everybody's got some type of value to put forth. And you don't have to go do that. But it feels hella good once you do, and you're rewarded for it. So I feel great about being a captain.
That's a great story. I love hearing that Steve recommended you. Shout out to Blockchain Steve. I love all the content that he puts
awesome.
out. You mentioned Pack Rip taking over the Top Shot Twitter account and following people back. I think what you're preaching is the inclusivity of we need creators and content people of all kinds to support the product and get on here and interact with each other. It's not a who's going to win and be the specific content creator. No, we need an army of people putting out content. I've heard you say it before. Make your own utility. And I think that's what you're doing with Boards2Buckets. I think that's what you preach that we all should be doing with. Don't wait on Top Shot to create this perfect product for us. Let's build around it and build together.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's one of the things that, and I really have to give it to the Nine Lives Lounge, Cool Cats. That's sort of what baked that idea into my head. So somewhat, Web3 is something that you can't really put inside of a textbook, right? You can't really read what Web3 is supposed to be. That's something that I had to learn over time through experience and things that people would talk about. Like utility is such a weird word in general. So I wish there were like a better word behind that, but it seems to come from a place of sort of, it should be a thing more about community than self-interest. And sometimes utility tends to be, how can I raise my account value? But it's not really about that. It's sort of about how can we all work together to do something that we could never actually do before. And so even you guys with this podcast, right? Like this is something that's awesome that you guys were able to do as new entrants into Top Shot. And so for me, that's never about, oh, look at what these guys do and what these guys do. And they're going to get into like, our sort of thing. There's enough over here in the pie. And frankly, Top Shot needs different perspectives in order for it to be able to grow. And so that people can also see the possibilities that they could maybe do it one day too and spawn off, whether it's a community built around a set, whether it's, what you guys are doing, building kind of like what we did as an independent, third party, whether you're a Top Shot team captain and you're being trusted with Top Shot with a budget to be able to create utility. So I think that Top Shot in themselves has been trying to figure out for a long time, what is their sort of value plug? And I think we're starting to see that now. So whether it's the burning leaderboard, so it's how can we accomplish both ends? How can we accomplish, distribution of these really cool high marquee moments so that we can lessen the supply? How can we still create a very solid profit margin in order for us to be able to exist and also be able to tackle these problems in the process? That is so difficult to unwind all these things that sort of got you into this situation. But I got to give a shout out to the entire team because I think that they especially lately, have really sort of got it. And so that's what the ethos of Web3 is to me. So I almost forgot what the question is, but I'm just happy that things are moving, I think, in the right direction.
I love it. You're spitting fire, man. And it's so true. You did answer the question. But it's so great. And you're totally right. I mean, we talked about several times the progress you mentioned earlier when we first started talking about how you researched for about a month when you're getting in a Top Shot, finding out about it. It took me a month to get a Dapper account and figure out even how to log in and join a queue. And so it's just crazy, all the different experiences and tying it to what Three Ball and you both said, Boards2Buckets. I feel like so many people are waiting for someone to fix it to make it what I want. And I love that you've started creating what you want yourself and encouraging other people to do it, because it's caught like wildfire. There's so many positive influencers out there that are creating what they want. We want to see moments. So we're watching moments together. We're talking about it. We're gifting moments. Like back in the day, everyone was hiding. No one wanted a gift. And now it's like, oh, you need a moment? Hey, I got an extra one. Boom. And it's it's creating a community that is just amazing to be a part of compared to when we first started and there was only one podcast and you got all your information there and people were more hush hush. And now it's we're a big family. We really are. It's awesome 100%. To see how that's grown and you being on the ground floor of that, dude, which is really cool. Helping that naturally grow within the community.
Yeah, and one of the ways that we were able to do that, sort of naturally grow through the community, was through our partners at Watch Playback. The minute that I went to the platform, it was just amazing. Just what I saw. Okay, we're gonna actually watch the live game together.
We were
Because sort of
shocked
the
by it
reason,
too. It's so cool.
Yeah.
and now
Why didn't I think of that?
Dream, I don't know if everybody even knows what it is. Tell us about Playback.
Yeah.
What kind of an app is it? What does the platform do? If we hadn't seen it before, what does it look like?
So let me take a step back to explain what it is by starting off with also what got Boards2Buckets started, right? So basically how Boards2Buckets got started was also the same sort of mindset, right? We talked about 2K originally, how, I was away from my friends, my core group of friends from Florida, and I wanted to find a way to connect with them. Well, this thing like called the bubble happened. And the Miami Heat did sort of what they did this season, which is make it all the way to the finals. And my friends and I wanted a way for us to be able to watch it together and experience it together. They can't come over to my house in Chicago like the way they could in Florida. So now I had to sort of find a way. How do we get ourselves into a room and watch the game together? So, what we would do is sort of get together in Discord and watch the game together on a feed. And so we'd all watch it together. And we all own our own licenses for the NBA. So we weren't doing anything. We were okay with that. But we all sat there and sort of watched the game together on a feed. And the thing was still, it could, like, my friends would still watch it on their TV. They would, just like they would just want to be a part of the experience, though, because every game that happened, we felt like we were a part of the reason why we were pushing forward, because we were in that journey together. So whether they wanted to watch it on TV and perhaps non-delay time, they still would be present and in that chat. And so, a couple years later, and so that's where Sam and I, my co-host from Boards2Buckets, the original co-host, we graduated from law school, and we wanted to find a way to be able to do a podcast, and we decided to do Twitch. And so we would watch the games on our own off of, a TV. And then that's how we built Boards2Buckets. I wanted to find people who watch actual NBA live basketball, not just, and mind you, NBA Twitter are not necessarily all basketball fans either. A lot of aggregation of information, a lot of just retweeting other people's takes, no actual creative minds. I'm not saying that it's all that way, but a lot of people don't actually watch the NBA games. And that's actually a reason why the NBA now created this partnership with Watch Playback. And I'll get into why. It's because the people who like to watch the full game, because for me, my dad would always say, why don't you just tune into the end of the game? That's, going to be where you get the most action. And if it's not a close game, then don't watch it. And it's not about the journey or the destination, or I'm sorry, it's not about the end. It's about the destination to get there for me and my friends. So, that was something that as soon as Watch Playback came out, you're basically talking about a live feed where if Jimmy Butler hits a game winner, we're all seeing that in absolute real time together. That basket goes in, we're all seeing it at the same time, as long as you have an NBA license. So you have like the NBA League Pass, for instance, to watch an NBA League Pass game and so on and so forth. So we all watched the game together.
It's
and
we started at the game or the sports bar or in the living room together, but you're online. It's so cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. And the way that, we were sort of able to grow into that platform, because I forget how many Twitch followers we have. I think we have like over 1,000 or something. I can't remember right now, but it's somewhere around there. So we had to start from scratch on Playback. Nice. But I believe in the concept so much. And even though it was new, I said, this is where we need to pivot into, because this is the reason why we went on Twitch in the first place. And now we got an opportunity to watch the games live with people all around the world. And so this is going to pop off one day. And so we started last year during the NBA finals, and now we're close to about 1,000 in our playback room. And so the way that Top Shot sort of fits into this ethos, though, is that there are people, NBA content creators, right, that have 50,000, 100,000 followers. And you can't just go and post out a tweet to a new platform and say, hey, I'm live right now, and expect for people to just show up. It just does not work that way for the many reasons that you pointed out, King Brett. It took you a month to figure out a Dapper wallet. But with this very tech-heavy, conscious crowd that we have been able to sort of be friends with on NBATopShot, I can then go and use Top Shot moments because they value those things, right? And you talked about it. I can give you a moment, and you will feel really good about me giving you that moment in a way that somebody else might not. But the people who are watching these games and who are involved, they get it. And so that's what we use as our currency. And it's helped us work and grow up and be at a place where we are with some of these other NBA content creators. So we got Treat in the house. What up, brother?
What's up, guys? Sorry I'm late.
Treat?
You're good, man.
Welcome in. Welcome in. We were just talking
about
things.
You're always so dramatic, making a big entrance.
Well, I got to make it all about me. Come on. You knew that.
Yeah. Everybody, welcome Treaticus in. Everybody, hello.
You knew who I was when you jumped into this. You knew who you were marrying. So don't, too late to back out now.
A big lesson I've learned recently in my life, own personal life and business world is You can't wait to start little projects and make it all perfect before you get in there. You have to execute. You got to just start walking, get on the journey. And several things that you've mentioned in this story. Back in the NBA 2K days, you're putting on Pro-Am tournaments. You learned Discord in 2016. Yep. So you got a group together. Mm-hmm. You figured out how to get those people in your Discord group and communicate, and learned how that worked. Then you wanted to watch basketball with your friends. So you got Twitch going. And those things were all steps to, as soon as you saw playback, as soon as you saw Top Shot, they all just made sense and clicked. But it wouldn't have if you hadn't already been taking those steps along the way in your journey to make you be able to just go with Boards2Buckets right off the bat and see what we had in C&C and jump in here. You're just executing. And then when you recognize those things and other things, you're experimenting and jumping out there. I love it.
Love it. It's awesome.
Yep. Yeah.
I was the guy that's like Twitch. All right, I got to figure out Twitch so I can watch Dream Shaker. Crap. Now playback. Playback was super simple, super easy to use. Like, I love playback. Like, I know we were kind of going back into that and tying in NBATopShot to playback. What else were you kind of saying about that? Because you have almost 1,000 people tuning in. It feels like almost nightly. When there's games and things going on. It's such a cool community and a way to see 5, 10, 15 people's faces and celebrate. Like, go into a little more of that.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy, where we're at these days. And actually, like, we're pretty, like, so what you don't always see from the front end are the amount of people who actually do tune into our stream. So there might be like 40 or 50 people at a time, especially these playoffs. Like, we're usually around like the 70 plus range in total sum of people who get in there. And all the new folks that come in, it's kind of crazy because they might be NBA fans who come in and then we find a way to bring them back to Top Shot and so on and so forth. So this has been actually a bridge to be able to bring people who may not have ever want to do anything with Top Shot. I'm like, hey, want to take something for free that, if you go and deposit it, you can make like $10 in your account. It's an S1 moment from the bubble. You like the bubble? You like the heat? All right, here you go. That was an easy sell prospect for me to bring people and bridge that to Top Shot. And so now what our next challenge is to move beyond the Top Shot ecosystem, because as I mentioned before, there's these NBA content creators that are on the platform that are like, I got 50,000 followers. I'm tweeting about it. And they're not coming. What's going on? Like, this thing is too complicated. And really using that sort of Top Shot to dangle the people to come in there is one reason why we've been able to grow in a really big way. But also I'll go beyond that too. And what I want to do with the Chicago polls is we're at a point right now where we all need growth, whether it's playback. And I think of playback as the Twitch of sports. So I can't say enough that they're amazing partners to work with because we have meetings with them all the time. We are back and forth in discussions on how they can improve the platform. A lot of little things, little changes that you guys will see on there because of people, not just us, but other people that they build with. And so in so many ways, that is the prospect of Web3. That's what we also do with Top Shot too. When we get feedback, they're going to have this collector council. The team captains are representative of that. I'm in a content creator channel with the builders. So what I want to start doing now is how do we make this accessible for the mass audience? And for me, it's inspiring local communities around. So I got bars around me in Chicago. Now I got a place. Hey, you guys are watching the Bulls game anyway. Why don't you get a playback stream up? I already got one place right down the street that I go to all the time that I've known for many years. Wow. Family-owned business. There's one of them. Nice. It's goes back, to the 1950s in Chicago. It's called Michael's Pizza, by the way. So if you ever want to go link up in Chicago and meet me over there, great place to be at.
Sweet.
Yeah. But we're talking local communities, and so that's really the next ethos. I think is then the TV is up there. And, people are seeing this thing and a chat going off on people's heads on the screen. And maybe they can't hear me. I don't have to have the live audio feed. And they're like, what is this thing? And then that's when they start checking it out. And then somehow, some way, I'll find a way to funnel them into, NBATopShot, because the value prospect, and this is the entire, not just, and I'm sorry to keep rambling on here, but sports viewing has changed tremendously the minute that Top Shot came into the sphere. Because once you tie in the live giveaways with the live action, guess what? I am not going to want to sit there and listen. And I love them. Don't get me wrong. Stan Van Gundy, Jeff Van Gundy. And you can always mute me, so you don't have to listen to me. You can listen to them if you pop into my stream. But if you're on my stream, you might walk away with $20 in your pocket. And when have you ever watched a sports game in which that's happening, where it's not a zero-sum prospect, where I'm paying money to the NBA and they're just going and taking it? And the NBA, by making this deal with NBATopShot or with Watch Playback, but they're also licensing NBATopShot or allowing them to use a license. That's their trust into what this all can be together. And so there's complete synergy, this little trifecta here for all of us to sort of use this as a value prospect for future Top Shotters.
treat everything we've been talking about as the same thing you bring up all the time. Is this all feels like sitting together in a bar or whatnot, watching ball with your buddies. Like we're getting to hang and talk, and it's exactly what he's explaining. I mean, just community and hanging out, and it makes me want to collect more or help gift more, as Brett was talking about. The vibes just kind of compound on each other once you get to know and connect with these other people that are doing the same things as you.
Yeah, and Dream, you know the game. Like I think that's one of the things I noticed early on, or when I started coming to into that room, is that, dude, you know your stuff. Like you're prepared. You're talking front office stuff. You're talking deep dive NBA stuff, which I love it. And Top Shot. See, that's the deal. It's about the basketball, and that's going to resonate. Period. And it does with everybody.
I think today I was in the CC chat, which thank for you guys for going and adding me on one of these, because like I think that's, and I don't know if it's like a secret or anything like that, but C&C has this amazing chat of thought leaders in the community that always band together, and I'm always in there sort of reading back on stuff. And got to give a shout out to Samuel D. He runs Badge County. There's no sort of competition here between people, but they're very like-minded. He knows his stuff, and he was talking today about the value prospect of making the moment values that are on Top Shot be about the basketball and not about these sort of weird sort of games and whatnot. So I think we're starting to see that little by little happen. It's going to take a lot of churning out of supply and of better supply coming in for this to like really materialize in a way that new users can really make it all make sense, because you still got Michael Carter Williams being flipped for who knows how much on there. That's what always the value prospect for me with NBATopShot is that we control the marketplace, right? Like us as a community, we decide what these moments are. So these moments are representative of how we are as a community. So until we go and these things get calibrated in a more mass adoptive way, that's when this whole thing is going to sort of make a little bit more sense and not scare people off, right? Because money, frankly, just scares people sometimes, and that's a reality of not just Top Shot but of life. So we got to find a way to sort of keep buy the good moments, dump the bad ones, and that's it.
That's right. And I see it, I can slowly, and look, we should have expected it was going to take some time, right? I mean, we all know the past. I don't want to bring up the past, but look, it's going to take a couple series to reset and to get to a place where it slowly grows organically and not some crazy, mass adoption. It's just going to be a slow burn, which is healthy, right? And I see it, man. I see it in Series 4. I think the things they've done are just going to continue to provide innovation and different ways to engage, just like they're doing with the halftime packs.
Exactly.
I mean, you take that into Series 5, and then the redemption collectibles and all the different things they've added in Series 4.
We've mentioned it on previous episodes, but Dream's been talking about it. Just attaching the moments and Top Shot to basketball fans. It's just going to be such a good focus and a good way going forward.
Now they can't drop so many giveaways in the Discord now that I can't watch the game anymore, because that's been the trouble lately, is they're dropping so many and the chat's on fire. There's a new giveaway in here. There's a new giveaway. And I'm like, bro, I'm trying to watch the finals, man. Just stop. But no complaints.
I can't wait. I can't wait till we're at the game at halftime giveaway and everyone can just scan this and get that pack, baby. Be at the game.
Have a shot at it at least.
The redeem links are such a cool technology already. You're mentioning making it easier, Dream, on somebody that's not a collector. Being able to just send them that and being able to click and get a free moment when they don't have an account yet. That's a really cool advancement. So a couple more things like that, we're on our way.
Yeah. And you start to think about all the different ways, like you're saying, Dream, is with the maybe the in arena or the Top Shot bot or the redeem links, and then you've got all these great. I think I would include us in there, C&C and you guys and Badge Camp. Like we're all in this, and we enjoy each other. We know we're for each other. This isn't a competition because the reality is, the more of us that are out there spreading good Top Shot vibes, good NBA vibes, the more opportunities folks are going to will have to enter the space in a healthy ecosystem, right?
We talked about this before you got here, Treat, just of how, we're going to encourage more influence and more creators to start making content, and that we're not in competition. We all want to encourage each other. We should be retweeting and liking each other's stuff. Like, we're not trying to beat each other out. There is a lot of room to go around for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
I tell this to everyone. If you follow me, I'm going to follow you back. I don't play the ratio game. I don't get it. I don't care for it. It's not me anyway. So if you follow me, I'll follow you back. If you tag me in something, I'll likely retweet it unless it's something I don't know, like really bad, but I don't think I've ever denied something of that. So that includes C&C too. Tag us, tag me, and you got it. That's it.
That's all of us stream. Yeah, I love it, man. Good vibes.
Yeah, but
I need to do a better job of that. The following thing. I got to follow more people. It's not a
boomer.
I know. I just keep
Sooner.
I just don't know. There's all these fake accounts, and there's all these fake accounts too.
Right. So that's true.
It's tough. I don't follow everyone. If it's sorry.
A lot of attractive women message me on there and want
don't follow them back. Anybody that has the top shot in there, a little TS,
Yeah, a little TS.
You're a killer, brother.
That's a follow.
Is that just me, or is that?
No.
Why does she want my credit card number?
I get the weird NFT communities still just bugging me, and they'll get like 10 of them that follow me, and then I know which ones are scams and all that kind of stuff, meme coins and all that kind of stuff. So I'm in attraction for it. But if it says Top Shot in your bio, I'm following you. If it says NBA anywhere, I'm following you.
That's a good way to think about. Okay, I like that. I'm going to do that. Okay, that's a good way to vet. I hadn't thought about that.
That's what I do.
Because they're not going to be one of those girls, and it's not going to say hashtag bleed green, go Celtics.
Look, I'll give Brett my credit card number for pictures of him with a shirt off. But I ain't following.
Man, you had some queso to it. You really got something there.
Oh man,
dude.
That's it.
Brett, queso, no shirt, dream.
I think that sounds like an ender. Dream Shaker. You're the man. I appreciate you coming to join us. This has been so much fun hanging out on the first episode of Collectin and Connectin podcast.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you being here, buddy.
Dude,
And then, sort of the last thing I want to plug in, which I wanted to mention before, is the content creators can only do so much. I'm not a developer, so there's no way that I could do and create things that make tangible, eye-opening sort of thing, like that AR VR thing that Rohan posted with the cube popping out on the stage or whatever. That is obviously something that I can't do myself. But with partners like Playback, who have developers, who when I tell them, hey, this redeem link, could we make this a more visually, aesthetically pleasing thing so that when it pops into Playback, it shows maybe a little present on it, or a little cube, or a little something, a little surprise? Because in the end, that's the element. That's the psychology behind it. But the developers need us to think about that too. Like they need us creators that do this, basically, it's a part-time job at this point, need our sort of, what do we use at this point to, or how do we use these things that we use on the platform and make it on your platform so that people want to come to your platform even more, Top Shotters that is as well, and make yourselves different from Twitch, but also help Top Shot in the meanwhile too, because that's not something that they with their lean team can sort of do on themselves, but on your platform you could. So it's all about sort of working between all the parties and the content creators that can sort of get their skin in the game and really imagine what life can be in the future. That's really, that's the prospect of Dream anyway. I'm always thinking like just sort of ahead of what these things can be, and so for better and for worse, sometimes a little bit too far ahead, and that's sort of that's sort of our thing. And so I know that we are coming from a pretty hefty day, so I don't know if you guys want to touch on that really quickly before we sort of bounce out of here, but let you guys sort of lead with that as well.
Love that. Yeah,
we're recording this the day after, but last week when we're releasing this, we did lose a Top Shot community member. Mac knows it was a tough day for everybody. A lot of support came out of the community, and it was really great to see. Just another reason to connect with others. Man, life is short, and that's just a really tough day.
Yeah, and it's people may not get this if you haven't experienced it, but these relationships are real, man. I really like you guys. You're a part of my life, daily, and I'm grateful to be in chats and to be on Playback and to interact and learn things from you guys, and just you've made my life richer through this, collecting these moments, and I'm real grateful for that experience.
It's hard to make friends as adults, especially men, and so just this is a really easy way that we're finding each other, and I'm thankful for it as well. That's very kind words of you.
Well, that's what the connecting's about, right? That's why you guys have this incredible brand, because that is the connecting part. With just the collecting, we're just like trading cards. But the connecting part, the frequency in which we can do it, the fact that I don't have to ship these things to, I don't know, Leet, yourself, Treaticus, Chewy, the list goes on of all my friends out there in the world. I have all these friends. Every time I see people win giveaways, I tend to know who they are. And maybe in some sense, it's because our community's gotten a little smaller, but also too, it's because I've made all these friends from around the world. And that's where the connection power comes in. And that's what makes Top Shot, the ethos of what NBA branding could be for the entire world. The fact that I could send you something. You're having a bad day? Here you go. Here's a little something from my account. What's going on, with whatever. Just there's so many ways in which what you guys built as a brand really just embodies why this means so much to, I think, all of us. So whether you knew him really well, whether you didn't, I know him as a cool cats person. He was in the original Discord with me, and I remember sharing so many ideas about what Top Shot could be with him. And so it's an incredible loss for our community. And in the end, we know that in life, I wish we could go on forever, and maybe some of us will figure out a way to go and do it. But the reality is that little by little over time, it's just it's not probably going to be a real thing. So it's sobering news as it's a reality that Macno is just going to teach us all for the future, is to appreciate every single day that we have together. And for those of us still around, I say this from the bottom of my heart. And as men, as you said, it's really tough to go and say this to other people, but I love everyone who I've interacted with on Top Shot. So whether you like me, whether you don't like me, the fact that you're part of this and building with us, because whether you're building something or not, you're still helping us build, because you're engaged with other people. You can't just be a Top Shotter on your own. So that's it.
Yep. Who couldn't? Who doesn't like you, Dream? Everybody loves you.
That being said, real quick, I will say, talking about one person can't change everything, but he definitely left an imprint on Top Shot. He left an imprint on a lot of our friends, a lot of our family. Leet is a good buddy, and I know how close that they were, and just it's crazy that something that we got into is now like such a big family. And so out of respect too for him and his family and our Top Shot family too, let's have a moment of silence real quick for that. So. Cool. Thank you all for that.
Well done.
We love all of y'all, each and every one of y'all out there listening, watching. Thanks for being a part of all of our families, for sure.
That's right.
From the bottom of all of our hearts.
Treaticus, King Brett, Dream. Love you, fam. Thank
Good
you,
time.
C&C. Appreciate y'all guys.
Thanks, guys.
Peace, love, and queso.